I'm releasing it for free because I want people to see it, and that's more important to me than making a little money off of it. I see this all the time. Let me explain to you why that's not the shape of the universe. And also, related problem to this, the notion that I'm just going to release a commercial thing and we'll see if it sells. Right? There's two reasons why this doesn't work, and they are tightly connected. If you happen to watch this video and we've talked, I'm not talking about you specifically. There's obviously in a category, again, lots of people have this challenge, including me when I was at that age of my career and pipeline. And part of the thinking of it is it makes natural sense. If there's a price barrier in front of something, people are more likely to check it out if it's for free, right? That just intuitively makes sense to us, which, because we feel like I'd rather, get something for free than pay for it. The reality of it is, how many of your games in Steam are the free games on Steam, right? You've got a catalog of games on Steam. How many of those are the ones that are out there for free? Realistically. How many of those that are free did you actually play versus add because your friend wanted you to put it there? Right? That's basically because, if anything, in many cases where you add something for free on Steam, and I've got a few of them, it's almost kind of a favor to the person who's putting it out there that I want them to see that they got another download number, but I'm not actually playing that. And it's this problem we have of thinking about it the wrong way. Of what that meant was that they didn't have to deliver at a level that was worth charging for. They didn't have to ever make that case. And again, this is where then the kind of natural slide over is, okay, well, I've known some folks who they were thinking about games for years. They finally start building a thing. They intend to just put it on Steam, kind of just to see with the price on it. And they might even think, okay, well, part of why I'm going to put a price on it is because if there's a price on it, Steam is more likely to promote it maybe than free, because it makes natural sense. Doesn't Steam want to sell a thing that I'm letting them sell, and then they keep some percentage of it? Steam has a limited shelf space to put in front of people, right? This is a metaphor. It goes around a long time. We used to talk about the app stores this way back when I was starting my career with iPhone. Long ago, there were physical shelf spaces, but they have so much real estate there for eyeballs. And what they're really trying to play is, what can I put in front of someone that they are likely to buy, right? The higher the chance is that someone's going to buy it, the more Steam, as an algorithm per user or per sale operation, etc., wants to put that thing in front of somebody. And when they're doing that, there are games that have sold well, that have a lot of positive reviews, etc., that have a lot of attention that the developers have already brought to the game, that have a much higher chance of, if they show them this versus show them this thing they don't recognize, haven't heard of, doesn't have a bunch of positive reviews, it's more likely to sell this one. They're going to be putting that one in front of people. And this is where part of the challenge of it, the frustrating thing, and this is not how we want the world to be, but it's the shape of things, right? All we can do is adapt to the reality around us, is that this notion of, I'm just going to put a thing out there with a price on it and it's going to sell itself, is not the shape of the universe, at least not in 2024. And in the version of this I've used, I might even talked about it before in a little recent video series, if you know someone who they just make a book and they just drop it onto Kindle, they just drop an audiobook onto Audible, how many units does that sell? Like, just by default, right? It just doesn't. It doesn't automatically wind up in front of people. It's on the author, the creator, to put that in front of people. Same thing if you just put a song onto iTunes. Chance of it just taking off. That's not how that works, right? We want to imagine that's how it works because it's be nice, wouldn't it? But it comes down to the developer, the creator, the writer, the musician, the game developer, the business owner. It is always on us to figure out how we get our things in front of people. Figure out how we build that audience, how we reach those people, how we make our case that we've done a thing that's worth their time and attention. Now, part of the challenge is when we do a thing that's free, well, naturally, we're going to burn ourselves out if we go try to, how many people can I get to download my thing? If I'm going out there making a case to check it out for free, that's a very, very hard case to make. When I make a thing that's worth paying for, and I'm making a case for people to go find out about it because I can figure out they actually will want this. They'll be glad they paid for it. They're not going to want a refund. They're going to feel like to get their value out of it. I can now meaningfully invest my time and past a certain level of success, potentially even someone else's time, paying a sales or marketing person or a partner of some kind who's a little more business side, to figure out how to point people towards it, because we might actually see real revenue off the other side of when they find out about this, when they see it, when they hear the case made, when they recognize how it does fit what they want, they are likely to buy it, feel good about it, and that, again, helps us cover cost of acquisition to get eyeballs in front of it. And this is that counterintuitive thing, and this is why these two things are connected. This notion of, I want more people to see it, so I'm going to drop it out there for free. It winds up with, it just slides past, unnoticed, quiet. And on the other side of it all, just put it out there with a price and then just see. Again, it also won't sell itself. You still have to figure out how to do that work, or work with somebody. As much as the world has always been that shape, right? When someone published a book historically, even if it went through a publisher 180 years ago or whatever, 200, picture, hell, 50 years ago, part of what that publisher was doing was trying to figure out how to put it in front of people. It is on us to put it in front of people. And this is not like, by the time you're going to get a deal with a publisher, it's because you've already got some sort of audience, some sort of impact numbers. Every time I worked with a bigger agency, company, partner, whatever, it's different stages of my career, different phases of it. What enabled me to have that opportunity was that I could show I was bringing audience with me, that I had a following, that I had impact and reach and whatever, but that came from my own legwork finding those people. It's also a reason where even if you are doing a kind of a smaller business, and a lot of folks are more likely to be maybe starting an LLC, coming out of game jams kind of level of scale for a lot of this kind of stuff. If you're watching my channel as a game developer, obviously it's analogous in all kinds of other creative fields. It's also the sort of thing where even if you eventually would like to pay or hire, in an ideal scenario, a marketer, a press person, some sort of contact agent or whatever to help manage that stuff, if you've tried to do it yourself, even if it's not your main channel, your main way of seeing the world, your main strengths, your main background or training, it will help you then suss out who is actually capable of doing this versus who isn't, as well as pointing them in a direction that's rightly aligned for what you figured out about your customers or your players or the people you can help and address. It's just kind of inherent. It's one of the challenges too, if you think about, again, whatever skill set you've got. If you've ever been interviewed and you say you're a technical person, an engineer, like my background, someone who's not an engineer really cannot tell a good from a bad one. They just can't, right? They're not equipped with the right questions. They can't tell if you're faking it. They just can't. Likewise, it's true for design, it's true for writing, it's true for marketing. If you have not tried to do it yourself to understand what goes into that, kind of a sense of contacting press, about trying to talk to and navigate talking to streamers and so on, it's just going to be something that someone else can sound like they're saying the right things. You won't know. You won't have enough grounding. So it's still worth doing, if only to be able to help navigate those things. And including too, like, you're going to make some mistakes. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's imperfect. It is a clumsy, awkward experience. That's growing. That's doing the work. But it's inseparable from it. The reason why you are making games or making art or making books or making videos or whatever, then you probably want people watching those, playing those, reading those, and you want them being reached to the people who are most likely to actually enjoy them. Now, obviously, this is a free video, but my usual hand wavy. Yes, that's why I keep trying to steer traffic towards feelbetterselling.com. Or there's actually a survey now in my description of this video for what you are at the stage of trying to look for next in terms of your thing that you're trying to promote. Tell people better connect. Okay, well, I'm making a thing. I want to promote it, or have I not made it yet. And that's also part of the thinking here. I talked to somebody last night, and he's building a thing for, I don't know, a couple of years, and he's going to try to figure out how to sell it. And the trouble of it is that there's different shapes of things that in the modern world are harder or easier. And this is true for all times, but the answer currently is different than it ever has been and going to keep moving, that are harder or easier to get people to talk about, that do or don't fit the shape of how people find out about things, of what do and don't strike a chord for where you have a way you can reach and find an audience who communicate with each other, etc. But it is often part of the game of, in that Venn diagram, exploring the space of, out of the many things you want to do, out of the many ideas you have, which of those can you actually find some overlap for? There is an actual business case for a way I have any way to reach that audience, or a way that this has any potential besides just, I think it's good, is not usually coincidentally overlapping with what is going to be easy to communicate and promote and get people in front of and get people to check out. This is part of why again, it bothered me early in my career. The older I've got, the more I understand and get it. The consideration for marketing type stuff, which again can sound gritty, but as to just finding the overlap of, okay, well, out of the many design interest, creative interest, art interest, things, books interest you have, looking at that intersection of that and what is there any potential I could actually find an audience for is not an unreasonable thing to engage with as an artist if part of what your creative interest in is reaching people, having a difference in people's lives, and not just that I made a thing, it's quietly gathering dust in a corner, completely overlooked, and I can't bother to promote it because it's free, or just sitting there because I just dumped it onto a storefront and then counted on some sort of viral whatever, which is not typically how these things work. Anyway, feelbetterselling.com, join the email list. We are preparing a panel of folks who I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We're doing a little panel video coming up soon. Really excited to share this. They have different lenses on ways of supporting their outside projects, of examples of kind of outside projects they've done, of navigating. And my, a lot of my focus here is on tangling those knots to why and how we don't feel good about promoting our stuff. Because part of it's also, I think that some of our holdup is that we don't feel like we have confidence at how to do it. And so we wind up kind of retreating to what we know how to do because it's comfortable for us to do stuff we have a background in, we have experience doing, we've spent years doing. We take 1 or 2 steps out of that into like, ooh, this is all very not the shape of the kind of work I'm used to doing and familiar with. We start to kind of rationalize why we're going to stop doing that. And it does not serve us well in our greater objectives in life. It can help us to learn to promote our stuff, to charge for our stuff, to navigate all that. Anyway, got a group of us coming together, getting all that figured out soonish. Stay tuned for details. Follow the feelbetterselling.com list. Also, again, check out that survey. Weigh in there if you're curious to help guide what's going to be up in this video discussion panel we're putting together about your questions about the stage of the process you're at. Survey and description. That's it for the day. Thanks always for tuning in. Catch you next time.